Hello and welcome. This is a kickoff info session for Data Preview 0.2 that was pre-recorded, and these are the dates that the live kickoff info sessions will happen. This kickoff info session is going to provide you with a welcome and an introduction, a little bit about Data Preview 0, a little bit about what it means to be a delegate, the resources available for delegates, where to get support, and then a little bit of a demonstration of how to log in and use the Rubin Science platform. I wanted to introduce you first to the community engagement team. At Rubin Observatory, we look forward to interacting with you during our live virtual DP 0.2 seminar series and in our online community forum. And we look forward to supporting all of your DP0 related science. A large team of Rubin staff from the data production and system performance departments have worked really hard to bring you Data Preview 0.2. They've been building the LSST science pipelines and middleware, processing the DC2 data, verifying and validating the data products, building the QServe database, loading the catalogs and testing the performance, building the Rubin Science platform itself, and developing documentation and tutorials. We're all very excited to continue working with the community as you start to do science with Data Preview 0.2. A little bit of background about the VRC Rubin Observatory, just in case you are new to Rubin. The observatory itself is located in Chile and has an 8.4 meter diameter primary mirror and a 9.6 square degree field of view camera with 6 filters, U, G, R, I, Z, and Y. Once it's complete, the Rubin Observatory will execute the Legacy Survey of Space and Time, the LSST, and that's a 10-year Southern Sky survey, which will make major advances in 4 core science areas: probing dark energy and dark matter, taking an inventory of the solar system, exploring the transient optical sky, and mapping the Milky Way. The LSST will cover about a third of the sky each night and detect billions of stars and galaxies and millions of transients, variables, and moving objects. And that's a data set of unprecedented volume and complexity. It will not be possible to download the entire LSST data set, and scientists will need a venue for next to the data analysis. And that's where the Rubin Science platform comes in. The RSP is a set of integrated web-based applications and services running at the Rubin Observatory Data Access Centers, the DACs. It has 3 aspects: portal, notebook, and API, which stands for Applications Programming Interface. The RSP will include tools to query, visualize, subset, and analyze the full LSST data archives in a stable software environment located next to the data, along with storage space, compute resources, and remote access options for users. So Data Preview 0 is the first of 3 planned data previews between now and Rubin operations. The goals for Data Preview 0 are to enable the community to prepare for early science with the RSP, to test integration of the LSST science pipelines and the RSP, and to use feedback on data products and RSP functionality to inform future development. For Data Preview 0, the data set is simulated LSST-like images and catalogs from the Dark Energy Science Collaboration's Data Challenge 2. So that's the DESC's DC2 simulated data set. Future data previews will be based on LSST commissioning data from Rubin Observatory. For Data Preview 0, the timeline was that last year in June of 2021, a data set was released that was DC2 as processed by the desk, and that was made available in the Rubin Science platform. And now for Data Preview 0.2, it's the same data set, same simulation, but reprocessed by Rubin Data Production, and it's now also being made available in the Rubin Science platform. These simulated LSST-like images and catalogs generated by the desk for their DC2, they cover 300 square degrees with a baseline or fiducial survey strategy for the wide, fast, deep region, and like wide, fast, deep light cadence only. So there's no deep drilling fields included in DP0. The simulated astrophysical objects in the wide, fast, deep images that were simulated include galaxies with a large scale structure, so galaxy clusters too, type 1a supernovae, and stars, about 10% of which have variability. And there's 3 kinds of variability that were simulated. The imaging data products for Data Preview 0 include process visit images, or PVIs, deep coads, and difference images. And the catalog data products include signal to noise ratio greater than 5 detections and force photometry in all of the image types. You can find a full description of the DP0.2 data products, definitions, and the schema in our documentation at dp0-2.lsst.io. So for data preview 0, the Rubin Science platform that you all will have access to has all three aspects are up and running: the portal, notebook, and API. All three of these have tools to query, subset, visualize, and analyze the DP0 dataset, as well as documentation and tutorials for you to use. The LSST science pipelines and many other common software packages are pre-installed in the notebook aspect. So a couple of notes about the DP0 era RSP. Both the RSP and the LSST science pipelines are in active development. The software will evolve over the course of your DP0 participation. That includes things like bug fixes, functionality expansions, package updates. Any code that you write to analyze the DP0 data sets might require some maintenance over the timescale of the year. The DP0 era RSP offers limited functionality compared to the operations era. This is truly a preview of the RSP. Your active use and feedback will be used to guide future development of the science pipeline's functionality and the RSP's tools. There are some risks inherent in using the DP0 era RSP. For example, some data sharing safeguards are not yet in place. Compute resources are finite and shared by all users. We will review the risks in later slides. Delegates are responsible for safe use of the RSP. Right now, Rubin staff are a bit limited in their capacity to provide support for RSP use. During Data Preview 0, there are multiple venues for delegates to ask questions and report issues. In this talk, we'll review those venues, but generally answers and issue resolution might take a little bit of time, so your patience is appreciated. Okay, RSP usage risks. One thing that is recommended is to always shut down your notebooks and log out of the Jupyter lab when you are done working. This ensures that you always re-enter the notebook aspect sort of in a known, fresh state, and you don't have sort of stale kernels hanging around. Another usage risk is that bulk downloads of data from the RSP are not supported, so delegates should work with the DP0 data in the RSP. There is an acceptable use policy, of course. RSP users may do science and undertake investigations that otherwise further the mission of the observatory, but will lose access if they misuse our resources, interfere with other users, or otherwise do anything that would bring the observatory into disrepute. So please also use your storage space appropriately. /home is your space for storing files that other users cannot see, but Rubin staff can see everything. /scratch is shared space for all, and it's not backed up. So this is very useful for temporary sharing of intermediate data products that you might create. /project is a shared space in which all files are read-writable by all. So do be careful with this space, but it is useful in its own way. And for advanced Butler users, which you will learn about the Butler later, as there are no global write or delete restrictions, avoid disaster by only writing to your own named collections, where the suggested convention for naming your collections of data products is you/your username / whatever else you want to name it. So Data Preview 0 delegates, what do we mean by that term delegate? So a delegate for Data Preview 0 is a scientist or student who is given an account for the RSP at the interim data facility, that's the IDF, which is the Google Cloud, via which they can access the DP0 data set. Why the term delegate? This term reflects your role of representing the broad science community as learners, testers, and providers of feedback, and of sharing the benefits of your DP0 participation back with your communities as teachers and colleagues. The total number of delegates is limited to 600 because the Rubin pre-operations team has a limited ability to provide support for services, which are still very much in development. And over time, more people will be able to join and have RSP accounts. Rubin Observatory will continue to scale up the number of RSP users in a safe and sustainable way until at least by the time of operations, everyone with Rubin data rights who wants an RSP account will be able to get one. The delegates are just expected to be aware of the usage risks of the RSP's active development environment, and also expected to use your RSP account, explore, access and analyze the DP0 data set, do whatever you want to do with it. Please use the documentation and tutorials to figure out how to use the RSP, report bugs and issues when you do encounter them, You're free to completely do your own DP0 related science at your own pace in the RSP. And we have a bunch of selected delegate activities for you to do on the next slide. So we kind of had some reports from people, they sort of weren't sure what to do with Data Preview 0, or it was a little unclear what participating really meant. So we have these list of suggested activities, and all of these things sort of count as participating in Data Preview 0. So delegates are invited to take on a simple activity to inform and improve development of the Rubin Science platform, and/or extend and enhance the benefits of DP0 within the science community. So in terms of informing and improving the RSP, you might be completing a feedback survey for Rubin Observatory when requested. Submitting bug reports absolutely helps with this kind of thing. Respond to calls to test new features as they arise. And posting examples of your DP0 related work in the community forum definitely helps to inform Rubin Observatory about the types of things that people will want to do with the RSP. Under extending or enhancing the benefits of DP0 in the science community, you might think about joining one of the 8 LSST or more. You can join 2 or 3 if you want, LSST science collaborations. We want to help other delegates resolve issues reported in the community forum. I'll show you about the community forum in a little bit. Participating in the DP0 delegate assemblies is great. Contributing tutorials to a shared repository of delegate contributed tutorials is something that's really helpful. Or just sharing your DP0 related work outside of Data Preview 0, perhaps in your home department, you just talk about what you've been doing. All of these are great, and they all count as participating in DP0, and we definitely don't expect people to do all of these things. If you're just doing one of them, that sort of counts and is wonderful. We have a bunch of virtual events related to Data Preview 0. These are completely optional. You do not have to participate in these events. As I mentioned, all delegates are free to just do their own work at their own pace. But many people also find virtual events really helpful. So we have basically 3 different kinds. The delegate assemblies happen bi-weekly on Fridays at 9 a.m. US Pacific time. Usually the first hour is a formal presentation with a tutorial or a presentation by a delegate about their Data Preview 0 work. And then usually the second hour is a breakout session for a discussion or co-working or Q&A with Rubin staff, sort of whatever the people who show up want to use that second hour for, that's what we do. But I do want to point out that in July and August of 2022, and specifically on July 8th and 22nd, and then on August 19th, instead of breakouts, we're running intermediate level tutorials in the second hour to sort of get all of the delegates that joined last year for Data Preview 0.1. We know they're ready to sort of take off with the new time domain data products that are available for DP 0.2. So we have more formal tutorials in the second hour just for those specifically, but you can see here at right that August 5th, it will be a more typical delegate assembly format where there'll be just a tutorial in the first hour, and then the second hour will be breakouts. So I mentioned that the delegate assemblies are bi-weekly on Fridays. In the alternating weeks, we have Stat Club, which is basically an informal co-working session in which Rubin staff are present to help out. If you join the Stat Club right at 9, we usually do a brief stand-up at the start just to see what everyone's interested in working in or working on that day. And that lets us set up maybe sometimes a couple of breakout rooms if people find that they want to work on the same thing, go off to a breakout room, work on it together. Otherwise, work proceeds. People sort of unmute and ask questions as they run into trouble, as they work through whatever it is they're working on that day. And then we usually come back together around 10:45 and do brief reports on lessons learned or just show a cool plot or whatever. It's a nice informal session that runs on alternating Fridays. But that 9 a.m. US Pacific time doesn't work well for everyone globally, worldwide. So we also have these third Thursday sessions. So it's the third Thursday of the month at 4 and 1400 hours UTC. And this is just basically it's an open office hour for drop-in discussions or Q&A with Rubin staff. It's usually just me hanging out in a Zoom room, and people come in and then we talk about whatever it is they're working on, questions they have, issues they run into with DP0 or the RSP, and I try to help them out. So that's what's going on for virtual events related to Data Preview 0, and everyone is welcome at all of these. at any time. Oh, and you can find the schedules and the connection info in the documentation at datapreview0-2.lsst.io. So one of the things I mentioned was joining the LSST science collaborations. There are 8. I'm a member of 2, TVS and Desk. Many people are members of more than one. All Data Preview 0 delegates are welcome to join. The science collaborations have a variety of sort of activities. They provide expert advice and analysis to Rubin Observatory. They fundraise for their teams and projects. They implement research inclusion practices. They help to train, educate, and engage the science community. And they collaborate on software development. So science collaboration members enjoy and benefit from a supportive collaborative environment that places them in the best position to generate science with the Rubin data. The science collaborations have also been running a bit of a partnership program where they pair their long-term members with new to Rubin scientists and students, especially those from smaller underserved US institutions. And so that's sort of a nice way for people who are coming to Data Preview 0, really new to Rubin, or maybe haven't participated much in a science collaboration yet, just giving them a point of contact in the science collaboration. So feel free to contact me if you're interested in participating in that partnership programming, or keep an eye out also for future advertising about it. All right. At this point, we're going to review some of the Data Preview 0 resources. And first, I want to give you a tour of this documentation that I've mentioned a couple of times at dp0-2.lsst.io. So if you go there, you land here. And right on the main page, the first thing that we have are all of the resources for delegates. So this is in the delegate homepage. You will find all the guidelines and expectations that I went over in the slide, a little bit about your RSP platform account, how to get it, how to keep it, that kind of thing, about the community forum, which I will also show you later, the schedule for the kickoff info sessions, all of the schedules for the virtual seminars that I had just told you about, both the delegate assemblies, the Stat Club, and the third Thursdays. That list of suggested delegate activities that was in that slide is also here. And then there's a bunch of information about how and where to get support, those multiple venues that I mentioned previously. There's also information here about the code of conduct and some of the citation policies for working with the Data Preview 0 data. So all of that is within the delegate homepage. This dp0-2.lsst.io webpage is really intended to be like the data release documentation. So of course, we have a page here that's just covers the DP0.2 data products. So this is where you'll find a little bit of more information about the simulated data set, a data processing overview that talks about all the data processing that the Rubin Observatory team did on the simulated data. And then some information about the different types of images, the PVIs, deep coads, and difference images that I talked about that are available for DP0.2, and then the different catalog types. And you might in particular be quite interested in this link to the DP0.2 schema browser, which has all of the different catalogs that are available for Data Preview 0.2, along with the description of all the column names available in that catalog. So that is here, and a bit of description about each of the tables that's available is also here. Also, back in our documentation, we have extensive documentation about the RSP itself, and it's under the Data Access and Analysis Tools section. So here you will find, again, those RSP usage risks and responsibilities that we reviewed in the slides. And then you'll find introductions to each of the aspects of the Rubin Science platforms. This is the main landing page of the RSP when you go to data.lsst.cloud, which I will talk about later as well. And here under the introductions, we have some really like step-by-step tutorials, even a little simpler than tutorials, just step-by-step instructions for how to use the portal, step-by-step instructions for how to use the notebook aspect, which I will show you at the end of this talk, and a little bit also about the API aspect as well. So this is really the place where you want to start if you want to start learning how to use the portal or learning how to use the notebook. You're going to be coming here in the documentation and working through those examples. And then finally, in the documentation, we also have tutorials. So click on tutorials. There are several step-by-step portal tutorials here that show you how to make a color magnitude diagram, how to get a type 1a supernova light curve, and how to view type 1a supernova host galaxy, all within the portal. There are also notebook tutorials, which are available in your home directory in the notebook aspect, which I will show you how to get to at the end of this talk. And there are currently 10 different tutorials. Some of them are very similar. So there's like O3A and O3B here are both about image display. And the 06 tutorials, A and B, are both about visualizing large data sets and advanced visualization tools. And then the 2 time domain notebooks so far down here. So all of these notebooks will appear in a read-only folder of your home directory in the RSP. Actually, that's wrong. It's not read-only. It's you can write to that folder right now. It is recommended to copy the notebooks into another directory if you want to edit and save them. These notebooks are regularly maintained and updated, so we will be adding more over the course of Data Preview 0.2. And if you ever have trouble with the notebooks, like you can't get a fresh copy of them, or you want to know how to git clone or whatever, you can see the troubleshooting tips in the notebook aspect documentation at DP0.2.lsst.io for everything notebook related. So I mentioned a couple times the Rubin Community Forum. That is the place to get information about Data Preview 0, to get science support for Data Preview 0 and that kind of thing. So I want to show you what you find if you navigate to community.lsst.io. So right on the main page when you land, there's a banner here that has a whole bunch of information about what is the forum, popular places for new forum users to visit to learn more about the forum, some of the core places where discussions about Rubin Observatory are ongoing. And then over here, we have some external links as well back to documentation about Rubin Observatory. Also on the main page, you'll find a bunch of categories here in the left column. And I want to point out in particular, the support category has a Data Preview 0 subcategory, which is the place to go to ask questions about Data Preview 0. I'll show you more about that in a bit. Over on the left, it's just new topics. So these are single posts that people have made in category. So for example, there's someone here asking a question about creating new packages in the support category here. And you can see here the Data Preview 0.2 announcement went up in the support Data Preview 0 category, for example. So you can navigate about the forum by clicking on categories. For example, here I just clicked on the support Data Preview 0 to look at topics about Data Preview 0, but you can also search for various information. So if you wanted to search for DP 0.2 timeline, for example, you'd find topics that were relevant to your search. Head back to the main, the Rubin Observatory logo at upper left always takes you back to the main homepage. So I wanted to look at a topic and reply. We can look at this, for example, this post, which was a question that a user was having about creating a new LSST OBS package. And so you can see they've asked a question here, put in some code that their question was about, and then Rubin staff have replied with trying to help this user figure it out. They replied back. So conversations sort of go on like that within a topic. You can have multiple posts and multiple replies within a topic. You can get notifications from the forum as well. This is something that I use. For example, in the support Data Preview 0 category, over here, there's a little bell symbol. And if you click it, you have various options for monitoring or getting notifications about activity in this particular category. And of course, I've set myself to watching so that I always get notifications when somebody posts about Data Preview 0 so that I can help our users as quickly as possible. So you could do the same thing and set yourself to watching this category. That'll help you stay really up to date. The other thing I like to do is set my preferences to make sure that I'm getting emails. So here I've gone to my little profile picture, go to my profile, go to preferences, select email. And I always want to be emailed or notified when someone sends me a personal message. And if I haven't visited the forum in a little while, I want to be emailed also when I'm quoted or replied to. So if I make a topic and then somebody replies to my topic, I want to be notified with an email. So I make that setting here. So there's a whole bunch of other settings that you can make to optimize your forum use in the way that you want to. The other thing I want to show you is about moderation in the portal. So if you find any kind of post that violates our code of conduct or is inappropriate in any way, you can use the flag button here to see the moderation options. So you click the flag so you can see you can send the poster a private message, or you can notify staff privately whether this particular post is just off topic, whether it's inappropriate, whether it looks like spam, like it's actually an advertisement, or vandalism and not a real post. Or if you're not really sure what's up with it, you could ask, say something else, and then you could sort of let us know what you think is off about this particular post. And then you would be able to message Rubin staff. So the moderation is there for all to use. And I wanted to show you that clicking on the flag doesn't take action right away, but that as a user, you have several options for action. I will mention also that moderation in the forum, there are a couple of auto flagging procedures to help prevent bots, but we do find users sometimes if they have a lot of links in the very first post they make, or if they've copy pasted text into their first post, and so it looks like they wrote the first post too quickly, you might get automatically flagged, but don't worry, moderators understand, and we can deal with that for you. The last thing I want to show you in the forum is that there's also direct messaging. So can go, so here I went to my little profile, clicked on the envelope, and here you have a little inbox, so you can direct message people within the forum as well. And so yes, so for Q&A, anything about Data Preview 0, you're coming here under support to Data Preview 0, and you can post, make a new topic. You click on this, you get this little pop-up window where you can type your question in this box, like a nice brief title here, and then here you can type your question, and then done. You click create topic, and then our Rubin staff will see that question and we'll be able to respond to it. So that's a really brief introduction for how to use the community forum. So getting support via the Rubin Community Forum, like I mentioned, the support Data Preview 0 category is for everyone to post questions about the contents of the Data Preview 0 data set, questions about how to use various aspects of the RSP, or even just to post discussions about unexpected or interesting results. You make a cool plot, or you make a plot that you are not quite sure or didn't turn out the way that you thought it would. That's a great place to post it and say, hey, look what I made. This color magnitude diagram looks really weird. Anyone want to talk about it? All of that is what the community forum is there for. Oh, I also forgot to point out there's a support DP0 RSP service issues, which is visible only to members of the Data Preview 0 delegates group and to forum moderators. And that's mostly for discussion of transient or potential issues. So cases where you get like 404 error and you're not sure if it's just you or if it's, if it's something more widespread. So you can come here, DP0 RSP service issues. And so this is where you can see things like service disruptions, login issues, a portal query never finishes and you're not sure if it's just you or if it's like a more widespread problem. That's where you can come and post those kinds of questions as well. For both categories, delegates are encouraged to respond to other people's posts. So if someone posts like, oh, I'm getting this error, and you were able to successfully complete whatever the query was they were trying, or you get the same error, that's great. That's a good thing to post about. We really want to help people help each other to crowdsource solutions to technical or scientific issues when possible. And you can also use the Data Preview 0 tag for all of your DP0 related topics, no matter what category they're in. So if you're posting in science, like you made a presentation that included a bit of data preview 0 work or something, and you want to post a recording of that presentation in the science category, you could use the DP0 tag for that. So the community forum is a great place for science issues, but we also have GitHub issues as a place for technical assistance. So this is also a great place to go to post bug reports, really persistent technical issues that you encounter, or other requests for assistance from Rubin staff, like connection problems, slow response times, authentication issues. Change in behavior of RSP functionality is also appropriate for the GitHub issues, which I wanted to show you. So if you go to github.com/rubin-dp0/support, you end up here. It's a bit of instructions about how to submit a GitHub issue, but it's quite simple. You can sort of click on the issues button up here next to code. You can go to create a new issue with the green button. If it's the bug report, it's probably the most common one that you encounter. Get started with that bug report, and you're given a template. So you can, delete that text and fill it in here. So we want to know what the bug was, how I might reproduce it, what you thought would happen when you encountered the bug. You can upload screenshots of the error that you encountered, and then a little bit of background about how you were trying to access the RSP in the first place. And then you'd fill all that out and submit the issue, and that's it. Rubin staff will see it, and then we'll be able to help you that way. So please feel free to post anything at any time, both to the community forum or via GitHub issues. We just really want to hear about what you're encountering out there. We also want to support anyone who experiences a code of conduct violation. So as a reminder, the code of conduct is at ls.st/comms-coc. The code of conduct, the 3 main tenets are that bullying and harassment are not tolerated, research inclusion and collaborative work must not be impeded by poor behavior, and discussion should be constructive and civil at all times. So if you experience or witness a violation of the code of conduct in the community forum, you flag the post like we just talked about. If you experience or witness a violation of the code of conduct in another venue, please reach out to Sandrine Thomas. That's one of our Rubin Observatory workplace culture advocates, and you can find more information about the workplace culture advocates and their contact information at this website here, project.lsst.org/workplace culture advocate. And Sandrine has particularly volunteered to help Data Preview 0 delegates should they encounter any violations. And of course, please also feel free to reach out to any community engagement team member at any time, self included. So now let's talk a little bit about RSP account authorization. So you will receive and must accept the email invitation to join the GitHub organization Rubin-DP0 and its delegates team in order to access the Rubin Science platform. If you're not sure, or you forget if you got the email invitation and accepted it or not, you can check the list. So if you are a member of the delegates team, you can follow that URL here and be able to see your name on the list, and that's how you would know. And now I want to give you a brief demo of using the portal and the notebook aspects. So you can open in your browser and follow along, or you can pause the video at any time and follow along. So in any web browser, so long as you're logged into GitHub already, because GitHub is how we're doing the authorization to access the RSP, you navigate to data.lsst.cloud and you would see this main landing page at left here where you have the portal, notebook, and API aspect open to you. The very first time you log in, you'll see this pop-up window from GitHub asking if you would like to authorize LSST-SQRE, and you must click that green button to accept that in order to log in to the Rubin Science platform. And at this point, before I actually show you the RSP, I want to remind you that there are instructions here for the portal and notebook aspects that take you through exactly what it looks like, what each of the pieces do, and it gives you a little brief demo of various ways to use both the portal and also the notebook aspects. So real step-by-step ways. This is a great place to start if you're new to the portal or notebook aspects. And under notebook aspect as well, there's all these troubleshooting tips. People often run into mostly issues with using Git. So we've tried to provide some help there. So if you go to this main landing page and you clicked on portal and you authorized LSSC-SQRE, you would land here. So this is the main interface for the portal aspect. There are three main options: single table, edit ADQL, and image search, which the documentation goes over. Today, I'm just going to show you the single table interface. And so you can see here that you have options to select tables. These are drop-down menus. You're going to want to stick with DP0.2, the DC2 catalogs that are being served. And so long as that's chosen here at left, over at right, you have the options of the different table types. For this little demo, we'll leave it at object. Over here under spatial constraints, you have to tell it which are the longitude and latitude columns in the table that you're currently wanting to search. These are auto-filled for you, as you can see. Right ascension 62 and declination -37 is about the center of DC2. So for little test searches, that's a really good place to start. You can choose your search radius for a cone search. You can choose, let's start with 30 arc minutes as an example. And then over here in the table, you can make your selections. I want to return just RA and DEC, for example. Detect is primary equals true. We'll make sure that you just get the results of the deblending process. This is also covered in the introduction, and in pretty much every tutorial, we recommend to set detect is primary equal to 0. Say you were looking for some flux columns, you could find them here. C model flux is a common one, I think. Yeah, so you could return the G band, let's say with G band and I band C model flux. And then it's this little funnel here. We'll show you which columns you've selected to retrieve from your query. At this point, let's set the row limit. That's sort of low. You can set it down to 10,000 just for a little demo query. And so now we're ready to search the object catalog. And this is what it will look like while it's running your query. And here the results are returned. So you can access them via the table here. An image is loading at upper left, and a default map is loading at upper right. So the introduction to the portal aspect goes into much more detail and provides a fuller step-by-step example, as do the tutorials. And so for the rest of this recording, I will just switch instead to the notebook aspect. Here in the documentation, it shows you how to log in. And now this page that you're looking at, I've already logged in. I've gone to my notebooks/tutorial notebooks directory. I've opened up the first introductory tutorial for notebooks. And this is really like trying to start people off. If you don't know Python, you've never opened a Jupyter notebook before, you can start here and it tells you about what a notebook is, how to execute code in a notebook, how to emergency stop it, what are Python packages, and how to import them. So it's really starting you off from zero, this notebook number 1. We can restart the kernel and run all cells, and it will execute the entire notebook for you. You can see the little star here means that cell of code is executing. It's imported some packages. We're really trying to teach you sort of how to find out what kind of data is available. So there's all these like optional cells that you can execute to learn more. Learning more about converting fluxes to magnitudes is all here, and it's also in the portal instructions as well, and in most of the tutorials, you'll find that information. Here we're doing a quick query, but using the table access protocol and a code called SQL to query a catalog. retrieving data from the catalog, very similar to like how we did in the portal just now, but instead from a notebook, retrieving data, making a color magnitude diagram. Remember, the data is a simulated data set, so you can see some quantization there in the data. And then also we show you how to use something called the Butler, which is a LSSC Science Pipeline software package to fetch data without having to know its location or format. So here we use the data Butler to access and display an image. So that notebook number 1 is really where you're going to want to start, just to learn how to access catalog data and image data via the notebook aspect. And that should get you up and running. So that ends the kickoff info session. That's everything that I wanted to tell you about today. And I'm going to leave you here with these important links for Data Preview 0. So thanks very much for listening to this. Thank you for participating in Data Preview 0. And please feel free to contact me at any time with any of your questions. Thanks very much.